Hey guys, VaulSC here. Today's game is going to be between YuJing and Aleph, both the vanilla versions of those two main factions, and we're going to be playing a game on my custom mission, Tactical Window. If you guys haven't heard this term before, might want to explore my YouTube channel for my rundown on Tactical Window, which is a custom mission I designed. There's a link in the video description to the actual rules that I've put up on Google Drive, but I'll give you guys a brief rundown of it. Just before I actually talk about the scenario, though, I just want to announce that I've taken a little bit of spray paint to my terrain, and finally, and you guys will be really happy about this, I have actually sprayed over the awful-looking sort of garish yellow boards of my terrain here. So if you look at the rooftops and the bridges, they're white now. And for this particular table, I've combined my terrain with my my friend's terrain. He's actually got this MicroArts gantry stuff, which we've added to my Bandua building. So this particular board's looking really cool. I've also taken some grey and dark green spray paint and sort of sprayed along the sides of the buildings. As we get through the bat rep and you see the buildings close up, you'll really appreciate that. And the idea is just to take away from the eyesore that it used to be and make the terrain look a little bit more industrial, a sort of a polluted industrial sort of work zone, construction site in a lot of cases, which I think is a really good direction to take my particular board in. I'm really happy with it. You can sort of see sort of a view closer down to the bottom level of the table here. And over here, so some of the sides of the buildings are a bit more grayed in. This one looks a bit sort of green and black and patchy and sooty, like you're living in a city where there's just really, horrible smog all the time, and it's more than just clouds. It's just a lot of chemical and toxic waste. So I think that's a really cool, cool way to do it. Back to Tactical Window, though. So we'll go right back to the start of this. So this is a mission where the table is going to be divided up into 4 quadrants, just like it is in Supremacy, and there are 4 objectives just like there are in Supremacy, like this. So if you imagine the center line of the table right down here, and the other center line across here, and one person deploys over here, I'll just move my cam, A deploys over here, and B deploys over here, and of course you've got some deployment zones along through the middle, there we are, and through here. So, unlike Supremacy, which allows you to pick up points for having more of these 4 central quadrants controlled than your opponent at the end of every game round, in my mission Tactical Window, the scoring is done at the end of every player turn, except for the very first turn of the game and the very last turn of the game. So the middle 4 player turns of the game are where points are up for grabs, and you get a single point if you get more than your opponent. If you both have the same amount, you both get a point. But the idea is to try to get 1 point and leave your opponent with 0 points and to overtake your opponent. The thinking behind this is that the player who goes first can't just walk into the empty zones at the start of the game and get points straight away. And the player who goes second can't just sort of move into the zones and capture them without any repercussions at the last turn of the game. Those 4 crucial middle turns are ones where you have to leave your models in compromising situations and actually fight for the zones. You give your opponent a chance to retaliate and take back material every single time. And having place tested this mission a lot, I really, really like it. The consoles actually give you even more points. If you capture the console on your left if you're going first, and the console on your right further away from you if you're going first, you get 2 points for each console. Your opponents can't interact with the ones you're going for, and you can't interact with the ones they're going for. Now, the consoles you're going for are dependent on who goes first or second. Let's say player A is also going first. Player A will be going for the one on his or her left, closer to them, and then the one on their right further away from them, whereas player B will be going for the other 2. You can't get points from your opponent's objectives, but the idea is here that you've got to do some button pressing. The one closer to you is easier to get than the one further away from you. And if you fail a lot of whip checks, at the end of the day, you only have to pass 2 of them, or 1 for each, to actually get the requisite 4 objective points for the game. It can be quite an easy mission to get tiebreakers on, or tied points on. So if both players get both of their consoles, and each player sort of gets a point from the right zones whenever they have the initiative, like it's pretty easy as the first player to get the points from the zones in their second and third turn, and it's quite easy for player 2 to get points in their first and second turn. Well, there's a tiebreaker in the form of a classify, but also an additional single point for more army kills. So I think it's a really cool mission. I've playtested a lot, and I'd really love to hear from you guys if you also give it a go. Alright, so I'm playing vanilla YuJing. I'm taking a photograph of my hidden deployment ninja, who is out here next to the console, where the console is going to be with the truck. And let's go through the deployment zone. So I'm taking first turn for this one, and here is where my guys are at. So looking down from, this is my bottom left corner here, and we're just looking down the deployment zone. I've got a Canren with mad traps here, so this little guy's a mad trap, and this little guy's a mad trap, helping to defend the deployment zone. He's also fantastic at just holding a quadrant, this Canren is, for the entire game. You've got some Shaolin and Guangxi here, another Shaolin further back up. This is the Ruishi back over here. I've also got a TR bot behind the crates, and a Flash Pulse bot back over there. Through to the middle of the table, there's the Celestial Guard with a Guangxi control device. If we move this camera up a little bit, I've got a Guilang Fort Observer over here, and there's the Guangxi and the Shaolin. The Lieutenant is back behind the box. I've got a Zanji hacker on the building prone over there. Krakot with Red Fury on the stairs, also prone. Right-hand side, there's a Minesweeper bot with the Guangxi. There's the Krakot you saw there, and the HVT on the far side. My reserve model is going to be the brand new Dao Fei that I've never used in YuJing before because I've never had the model, but it's going to be his debut. You can see my opponent's Krakot Renegade in the distance as well, brandishing a submachine gun, having rolled up, I think it was Total Immunity and Dogged, if I recall correctly, or even, it might have been Climax Plus, I can't quite remember what he got. Anyway, he's got a Flash Pulse spot down below that. There's an Asura with a multi-rifle, a Sophatech with a friendly helper bot elsewhere in the table. Through to the middle, there's a, let's just get out the pen. So there's Krakot, Flash Pulse bot, Asura, Sophatech. There's a TR bot here with a sensor bot right next to him, Myrmidon officer with combi rifle, and in the distance there's a post-human with double submachine gun and a secondary Krakot over here. And on this building, he's actually got a Danavas hacker and a hidden post-human sniper, and his Sophatech helper bot is on this side. So looking through again through the middle, there was the Myrmidon, there's the two bots, this is the TR bot, this is the sensor bot here, the helper bot, there's going to be an invisible post-human there, and we've got the Krakot and the other post-human there. Here's a closer look at them, so Danavas, Krakot, post-human. His reserve model, or sorry, not his reserve model, his other post-human shows up here. This is a heavy infantry with HMG, which he's recently converted from an Ectromoy. So, YuJing getting to go first, moving out first with Impetuous, and not really coming into line of any enemy troopers. Elsewhere, we're trying to throw down some smoke grenades, move through towards the center. The Shaolin is trying to throw a grenade, just tossing it underneath this gangplank walkway building out to this area of the battlefield, which we'll see later is going to enable the Rishi to move out. So let's take a look at that. So there's the positioning. The Shaolin monk is actually right underneath this walkway here. He's thrown out the template to that. And the Rishi is going to come along to take up this position here and fire through the middle there, because that's where the enemy TR bot's going to be, through that angle. So in doing that, let's have a look at the position. TR bot starts around here, moving out along this way, and the smoke is over here. This is a coordinated order, so I'm also moving the TR bot around through to this spot. That's our TR bot there. And the point of having the TR bot here is that there's this long diagonal line through the middle of the table, and it's going to cut across the path of his enemy impetuous movement for his Krakot. So that's why I want the TR bot moving out as part of the coordinated order. So that's where the TR bot ends up. He's going to have this nice long fire lane through there. The Guilang is hanging out behind this this box here, and the Rushi just moving into position where he's going to be snug in that cloud. His Asura is over here, but he's prone behind the building, can't actually see the Rushi, and the enemy TR bot is right there, so I'm going to be able to have a hack at him. TR bot's not going to get cover. Sorry, the Rushi's not going to get cover, but he's got assisted fire, so +3 to hit, no negative mods, hitting on 15s on 4 dice. TR bot is going to be a -6, but +3 for range, so it's going to be 8. So it's 15s versus 8s, 4 dice each. TR bot comes into position. You can sort of see the red line between them. We roll the dice, hoping for the best here. Hoping that I don't get crit, and luckily it's me that wins the face-to-face roll, and the TR bot is destroyed by the Rishi. As we predicted, but it definitely could have gone worse. TR bot now, sorry, I keep calling it the Ruishi now moves forward and gets into a position where he can actually see the enemy post-human with HMG, and I'm expecting this to be a bit of a tough fight because there's no smoke at this point. He's got a couple of wounds. The Rushi's hitting on 15s against his 16 on one dice, but the Rishi rolls up a storm and gets, I think, a crit again and inflicts some wounds there, and the post-human is actually reduced to 0 wounds just from one volley. So game going very well for so far, really lucky, and you can sort of see the grey spray paint on the building, starting to break up the monotonous colour a little bit, which I quite like. So boom, post-human is wrecked. Next up, I'm trying to get the Ruishi into a position where he can actually fire at the post-human here with double SMG and his friend the Krakot. And the importance of this is that my opponent, when it becomes his turn, is going to be going after this objective to secure 2 points and to move on through the game. But if I kill the specialist SMG, it's going to mean that he's going to have to move some other specialist from elsewhere in the table to get to this location, which is going to waste a lot of time. Unluckily, though, the Rushi fluffs his rolls this time against the SMG. SMG manages to evade the shots, and a flash pulse spot nearby is able to actually hit me with, unfortunately, the flash pulse. Or maybe it was the SMG that had the flash pulse. I can't quite remember. All I remember is that the Rushi is blinded by a face-to-face roll attack and cannot do any further carnage, although he's done well this turn to take out a TR bot and a post-human heavy, so hats off to the Rushi for doing that well. Now, he's decided to hold off on revealing the post-human sniper, and I think this is actually wise, because if he does start arrowing straight off the bat, I can just put all of my shots from the Rushi to remove him very easily, because the Rushi with assisted fire is the exact counter to the post-human, and without that counter being present, this post-human is very, very powerful. So he does the smart thing and reveals this later. He's actually revealing it when I move the Guilang, located here on the photo, over to the objective to press the button, noting that if I press the button, the post-human is going to get a free shot at me. So I decide with a second short skill just to move back to where I started, out of line of sight of the post-human, because I don't really want to lose my Guilang for the same reason that I wanted to kill this submachine gun guy here. It's quite important to take the 2 points from this objective as early as you can and make headway into the game. The Krakot with Red Fury in my second group has total immunity and dogged, and decides to use Group 2's orders to come into play. You can also, by the way, see the end position of the Guilang. Here, he had originally moved out this direction. He's come back to this direction where he's safe against the prowling post-human sniper. So the Krakot is moving forward just because I've retained 1 or 2 orders in Group 1, and I want to bait the post-human sniper into shooting the Krakot. I don't mind if he shoots the Krakot, because I'm going to be putting all of my Red Fury bursts into this, this guy here to remove him anyway. And if he does trade and attacks me with the post-human sniper, it gives me the opportunity to come in later with maybe the Dao Fei with the last couple of orders and actually attack him, or find some other means of dealing with him. So he decides to hold the post-human and not attack, which is quite interesting. And the Red Fury Krakot just goes straight in here to blast that post-human with his Red Fury, and he finally does that successfully. And then the Krakot is able to sort of retreat a little bit further back. So that's how that ends up. Okay. My opponent's first turn after that carnage has ensued. His Krakot now stands up and moves over towards the Rushi, but unfortunately doesn't manage to kill it. In fact, he may not have even come into line of sight with his impetuous move. All I remember is that the Rushi is not destroyed here. So what he decides to do is move up with his sensor bot to come in repeater range and start hacking it with the Danavas hacker. Now, the Danavas hits it with an Oblivion to remove its repeater, so my ninja can't actually use my own guy as a repeater. And then he goes for the gotcha and does immobilize him. I am a bit skeptical of this play, though, because there's the bot in enemy territory with only burst 1 in the reactive turn, and he's got a whole bunch of guys like the Asura and the Posthuman who can just attack it. And by hacking him first and then trying to attack him, I feel like it's just a waste of at least 2 orders. So I wasn't really impressed by that play. Furthermore, we've still got more orders being used as the Myrmidon throws a smoke cloud here and is going to be moving in to actually destroy the Myrmidon and the Rushi. But again, this is a bit of a fumbled turn because moving around there is going to give the Rushi a chance to reset from the hack, and the Myrmidon may not be the best choice to take these guys on anyway. If he gets too close, the Krakot might be able to get in close combat with him and berserk him to death with the chest mine. So it's not wonderful. If it had been me in this situation, I probably would have tried to get the Krakot or the Asura into play and just gun these guys down. I think that's the smarter way to go. Okay, elsewhere, having put the smoke grenade in the way of the Rushi, who still can't shoot because he's immobilized. I know that the Rushi can see through the smoke, but it's the Krakot that this guy wants to avoid here. He does move down with the Sophotex Helper Bot and comes into base-to-base contact with the Posthuman Heavy, which he wants to revive, the Mark IV. But we look up the rules and find out that the Posthumans don't have cubes. And for me, that sort of makes sense. I mean, cubes are something which human beings have in their heads to back them up, so forth. And Posthumans are sort of like a synthetic body for, an immortal AI, shall we say. Well, not immortal, but you guys get the picture. So with no cube here, he's only got one shot at this, and with 75% chance with Whip 15, flubs it anyway, and removes the guy here. So this turn's going very, very, very poorly. Elsewhere, the Myrmidon moving forward and just coming through here into range of the Krakot and the Rushi. And I think what ends up happening here is that the Krakot gets shot at by the Myrmidon and is destroyed after he tries dodging. But I'm a bit hazy about the particulars of this particular part of the game. He may have taken that move back after I politely advised him it's not in his best interest. So the Asura stands up here, shoots at the Krakot and destroys him with some shock rounds, which is the smarter thing to do. And then the Myrmidon can move through and basically wipe out the Rushi. So that's sort of how it goes. Elsewhere, our Shaolin Monk moves out because it's now YuJing turn 2. By the way, after that rather naff turn, the first player turn during which quadrant scoring is eligible actually goes to me. So even though it's his active turn, he still concedes a single point to me on the zones. Shaolin moves forward, gets hit by the posthuman sniper immediately, and dies in my second turn impetuous phase. Elsewhere, very shaky photo, but the Guangxi and other Shaolin moving up. Plan is to now move a smoke grenade into this alleyway where the Guilang can move over and hit my button, which is situated around about here. The posthuman, of course, does not have MSV2, and the Asura is blocked by the central building, so we can do that. So here comes the smoke. Remember that mine marker is actually a mad trap, and the Guilang is easily going to be able to move over to this objective here. Absolutely does so. There's an image of my brand new Guilang model from the Beyond Red Veil box set. Guilang does press the button successfully, and we are all good to go. Finally, the Dalfei is going to see his first bit of action. It's not particularly impressive action, though. He's just shooting at a flashball spot here, which you can't see too well in the photo, but does manage to pick this guy off successfully because he's got surprise shot, mimetism, and camo, and he's only firing through a little forest planter and through mimetism, so tends to hit. Does successfully grab him, or maybe even 7s, but regardless, the bot's destroyed. It's just, I want to open up the ability to move forward a little bit without being into repeater range of the Danavis. So let's take a bit of a zoom out. Realizing that he can't really get much done on that flank, the Dalfei moves back here, and the importance of his position here is that he's actually in the center of the table for the purposes of scoring. So the center line's around about here, and my opponent's, how should we put it? The other center line is sort of like right through this bit here. And I'm actually in his quadrant here. So this is basically a YuJing quadrant. I could have put some models here, but I haven't. YuJing is also taking this quadrant over here. And my opponent is sort of more or less trying to grab this one for Aleph. So with that happening, I'm sort of still scoring 2-1 quite efficiently with my setup. So the Dalfei is really helping there until he brings the Asura, some other troops into this particular zone here. You can also see my Guilang moving forward to the temple of the table, to the center of the table to put down a mine. So that's exactly what he does, just because he's anticipating the movement of the Myrmidon officer around the corner, if you see what I mean. Elsewhere, the Shaolin Monk moving through the smoke we had earlier. We've got a tick on YuJing for this box. So he's going to move around here in front of the posthuman sniper. I want to put a smoke grenade down in front of the post-human sniper and leave this guy in the zone, just because it'll be annoying if I have any troops at all in his zone. It'll force him to tie it up with troops of his own. So there you have it. Alrighty. So I think that's about all. Oh yeah, so you can see the positioning of this guy, not revealing the post-human sniper, interestingly enough, so the Shallow Monk's just standing there. Dalfei decides to go into suppression fire, just using this dice to represent the 3 facing up on the d6, showing that he can fire 3 times in the reactive turn thanks to suppression. Another little bit of an overview here. So he's got a Krakot, I think Impetuousing in his turn. This is going to come right in front of the TR bot, which is positioned there for that very reason, and the Guangxi, and the Guilang, and there's even a flash pulse bot further down the field. So this guy just gets mowed down by a hail of fire. Probably shouldn't have used Impetuous there, but he did anyway and paid the price. Okay, so Myrmidon Officer can't really move around very easily because of the mine, doesn't really want to run into the mine, but he does get the coup de grace classified extreme prejudice on the corpse of the Ru Shi. So the Assura standing up, revealing the mine for free with MSV3 and destroying it, and then the Assura should be able to slice around and actually get some hits on maybe the Guangxi or the Flash Pulse bot in the distance, and freeing up the Myrmidon Officer a little bit. Myrmidon Officer, unfortunately though, moves a little bit too close to the Mad Trap placed by the Canrin, and sadly fails his physical -6 check and becomes immobilized. Now, in my friendly games, as you guys know, I'm quite a charitable player. I like to tell people if they, are likely to move into range of a Mad Trap, especially if the Mad Trap's on the other side of the building. I didn't say anything about it this time around, just because I'd clearly pointed out the Mad Traps at the start of the game in the deployment zone, and he was moving in such a way where I couldn't have really been sure whether he'd come within 8 inches. So I just pointed out that he might have done so. We measured it, and he was. So fair's fair. He does get hit by the Mad Trap, and sadly immobilized. So things going pretty badly for Aleph so far. What he can do, though, is potentially move out with the Sophitect and bring in a helper bot to revive him. So we've got Sophitect further back over here. I can't remember whether this is the helper bot here or what, but a helper bot can come through from that side and actually get to the point where the Myrmidon is and unglue him, clean some glue up. We also have the post-human deciding to reveal and just stick a couple of shots into the Shaolin to destroy him, just to free up this particular quadrant for Aleph. You can see the helper bot actually moving out now directly towards the Myrmidon Officer, so just racing over there. Sophitect also moving up and onto this billboard area, avoiding the TR bot in the process, just because there's no line between this gap actually. So only once you pass through here that you'll get hit. The Sophitect is doing this just to put him in the right quadrant, and so is the Assura able to actually clear out this quadrant where the Dalfei is situated, just to pull that back for Aleph. Anyway, the helper bot does come in and actually revives the Myrmidon Officer, so he's no longer glued. The Myrmidon Officer is able to slice the pie onto a line where he can actually be in range of the Guilang and the Guangxi, the distance, and the Flash Pulse bot, but not the TR bot. That's what we're measuring with the laser pointer. So he does have a crack at it. He's only got a combi rifle, but this does enable him to put a hit onto the Guilang, who manages to survive it, and maybe knock off a Guangxi in the distance, but not much else achieved. So with that done, it's, I think, the 3rd turn for YuJing. And we're moving out now with the Dalfei, but he's just checking to see whether he can gain line of sight to the post-human. He doesn't yet. There is a Myrmidon Officer situated right there. I shoot him with a machine gun. The Myrmidon takes a single wound and manages to pull back past this crate here, so moves out of line of sight. If I continue chasing after him, I'm going to come into line of fire from the post-human elsewhere on the table, so the Dalfei doesn't really want to do that. You can sort of see a little bit of a view there where the line of fire was. Now moving up with this other Guangxi, just because I've got absolutely nothing in this particular quadrant. So the Guangxi is going to take care of that with a spare 5 points, and the Dalfei is going to move back over to here to secure this one, or at least contest it, meaning that if he doesn't keep his heavy points cost troops there, the Dalfei is going to have a good time with that particular zone. Elsewhere, we've got Flash Pulse Bot, Guangxi, and TR Bot still lingering around. Now, just looking at a bit of an overview here, the TR Bot, what it can do is move around, potentially take on the Post-Human Sniper. I've got a Shaolin Monk dead here. I've got a Guilang left alive. But the plan now is to maybe get the Ninja over to this objective here and see if I can reduce his order pool a little bit more. Let's have a look at what happens. So Guilang placing another mine next to the location of the Myrmidon officer, just to make it continually more difficult for him to come around and actually do work. He can maybe attack it with the Asura, but that's just going to cost him more orders. What we are able to do, though, and I'm just going to go back a photo here because I remembered what actually happened. This is actually really rough. The Asura is here, and she's not prone. The TR Bot moves over to this particular location here where he can actually barely get a line across past this building to have a shootout with the Asura. So, amazingly, because my dice are absolutely on fire this game, I managed to pick up another crit and another wound, and because it's shock ammunition, the Asura unfortunately falls unconscious, which is a huge blow to Aleph. Not only is her massive chunk of points in that zone, but that's a very powerful model which can now no longer contest my guys and reveal my ninja as I move in to grab the objective. So that's awful outcome for Aleph. There goes the mine. So now the ninja basically just walks past them all on the way to this objective, and they can just discover or delays. They can't really stop him from doing this, and it's going to give him a single opportunity, despite the post-human up here or the top right, as you guys can see. It's going to give him a single opportunity to just move around this side of the crate. These guys can only discover here, and he's going to be able to have a go at the objective. And since dice rolls are going pretty well this game, the ninja gets it with one go before getting shot to bits by everybody else who delays the order, and that's the second objective picked up. So I've got a whopping 4 objective points from all of that. TR Bot feeling confident. Bliss is skill 11, +3 for range, -6 for TO camo, -0 for cover because of assisted fire. Fires at the post-human, and the post-human gets shot as well, which it's just a nail in the coffin, really. Really awful result. In the final turn of the game, the Myrmidon officer is able to move over to the objective, throw down a smoke grenade to block the line of sight for the TR Bot, and go in to press the button to at least salvage a couple of objective points for the end of the game. We've got a glamour photo at the end of the Dao Fei posing, but this has been a game where I think my opponent made some mistakes, kind of played poorly with a few of his decisions, but also I had the lion's share of good luck. My dice rolls were far and away better than my opponent's. If you guys watch my video bat reps regularly, you'll have seen a few games where I had some pretty crummy dice rolls and some bad luck in some of those games. This was not one of those games. I definitely lucked out, but you're going to have the occasional game like that where everything goes your way and you just crush face and there's nothing your opponent could do just because it's a game of quite high variance. Again, recommend Tactical Mission as a really good mission. I might update at some point to include data trackers because this mission is a bit before the ITS season we've currently got. Hope you guys liked it though. As usual, enjoy playing YuJing. It's good to have them back on the field. Really happy with the Dao Fei model and the Guilang model. So yeah, thanks for sticking around for this one. See you guys next time.